Go, I think. Fantastic. So
Yay.
I am
Yes.
so honored and excited to hear a little bit more from our guest contributor today. I'm going to introduce Krupalini now in a second and allow Krupalini introduce herself. But this is a special conversation for to celebrate Golden Ruleism Day, and I've got a guest that I think we've probably known each other for the best part of a decade now at this point. If we
Yes.
we could probably precisely get the year, but it's coming up to probably 9 years pretty soon enough, which is
Yes.
within those last 9 years, Krupalini, a lot has happened and a lot's been going on. But just to put it in some sort of context, I met and I was fortunate to meet Krupalini a decade ago, almost a decade ago, in India when myself and some of my colleagues went to work and share or facilitate as part of a program looking at compassion, looking at empathy, looking at kindness from a few different lenses, from the self-compassion, compassion for others, and then looking at systems that we can try to offer some compassion and discernment at. And it was really about, if I can, you can correct me now, Krupalini, because you're the educator, you're the one sharing a lot of this at this point, but trying to receive the information, try to critically analyze it, and then try to embody what it is that we're learning from any course. And Krupalini was one of the participants in a wider program, which is all about being a kindness ambassador. Now, I think you've certainly taken that role to a whole other level. And the course that we we're doing, compassionate integrity training, the big part of that was the action we take afterwards. So you can do the learning, but how are we going to put that in our everyday life? And I'm really proud to say that out of all the people that I've met and come across, you've taken that and just gone with it. You've run with it. You've danced with it. And it's been inspiring to see what you've been up to for the last number of years. And I mean that. I mean that genuinely. One other thing is that I rarely go in and work with any groups, wherever I am in the world, without taking a little bit of Krupalini with me. So
Ah,
this is the most recent set of cards. Now, I've been gifted some beautiful gifts over the years, but this is one of the finest one. It comes as part of a package, and Krupalini is going to talk about the tall elephant, which I'd highly recommend anybody to get physically to your home, to your organization, to your school, wherever you might be. But these beautiful, loving cards, these affirmation cards, come with me to every workshop. The previous one, I still have that box as well here, and it just comes with me. I don't necessarily know how I'm going to use it, but I know I'm going to use it at some point with parents, with children, with educators. Last week here in Madrid, we worked with a group of parents and kids at a library, and I was able to use these cards. Tomorrow, I'm going to be working with some business leaders at a university, and I'll be using the cards. But it just gives me that little bit and that connection, that interconnection that we have together. But it's part of what I'm dying for you to explain a bit about. Look at that. How many people can get their own name written on a beautiful box like this to their home? There's so much, there's a wealth in that. But the cards themselves, Krupalini, this is your doing, your work. And they're simple but inspiring. And you can use any of them. I haven't pre-chosen any of these, but for example, this is an affirmation. I am being shaped not by where I am going, but who I'm becoming along the way. So that gives you a flavor of, and I could read through another 40 or 50 of these cards. When you sit there and you feel it and you connect with it and you own it, what we're trying to do within Golden Ruleism is really trying to bring that to life. You know, with children, with animals, with nature, with the wider world around us. How can we bring compassion, empathy, and kindness into the play? And so, yeah, when I introduce you, it's the person who's taken it and run with it, all of the stuff. And now the full circle has come along because I'm being mentored by you rather than the other way around. We were lucky to take the course together and then have this exchange of learning and mentorship. But yeah, that's the introduction that I can think of giving you today, and maybe to introduce yourself, because you're also one of our ambassadors. You're one of the Golden Ruleism ambassadors, and we can bring the map up in a second and share your nugget of wisdom. But yeah, please introduce yourself because your name is quite special as well. And I don't think I've fully got the understanding of Krupalini Swamy and what Swamy means because you're sort of going into that ownership of the name, I think, at the moment.
yes. Okay, so I'm so happy to be here and hearty congratulations on the Golden Ruleism Day. And I'm sure there's a lot of work that the team and yourself are doing, Shane. So just to answer quickly what my name stands for, Krupalini stands for a person who embodies kindness. And I think my dad always kept telling me, saying, if you can't be anything, just be your name. Just try to live by your name. And my surname, which is Swamy, is his name. So we carry our parents' names along. So his name is Mr. Narayana Swamy. So I think I have that as a part of my name. So yeah, I think
Beautiful.
it becomes more easier to remind myself when people call me by my name. It's to just say, okay, be that person. They're calling you and they're saying you to be something. So just be that person. So that's what Kripalini stands for.
Be yourself. And in fact, you've said
Yes.
that in so many of these cards as well.
Yes.
Just be
Yes.
yourself. It's enough.
Yes.
The world needs people to be in their own self and belong to themselves, but to
Yeah.
share that with a sense of pride. And Swami, is there significance in your part of the world with that name as well? Because you often hear that before religious or spiritual
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
wisdom leaders.
I think this word Swami refers to, because my dad's name is Narayana Swamy. Narayana is the name of a god. We don't address it directly by saying his name just like that. It's like calling out by first name. So we say Narayana Swamy to say the god Narayana is named here. So his full name is Narayana Swamy. And I think my full name goes as Krupalini Narayana Swamy. And because the middle name is Narayana, I don't use that much. But yeah, Swami basically means that you have that spiritual or a devotional upliftment towards that name. That's the first name that you have.
Wow. So you've both embodied your first name of the kindness and the
I
surname.
hope I hope to do that.
We all hope, we all work with those aspirations as well. So
Yes.
I'm gonna try and make some sort of segue or interlude into
Sure.
the reason why I really was excited to chat to you, and it was a catch up as well. So this is a live catch up
Yes.
that we haven't had for a long time, so it's a
Yes.
chance to reconnect as well. But Krupalini has joined, along with a number of other people, this community that we're trying to gather. And I want to know more about Krupalini's community in her part of the
Sure.
world that has extended beyond the borders, the huge borders of India, to other parts of the world as well. But what we're looking at here is the very basic, the homepage here of
Mm.
GoldenRuleism is the positive personal actions and the belief of the benefit that our children,
Yeah.
our animals, and our mother nature can get. So the action bit is really what I'm most excited about within your ambassadorship. First, I met
Yeah.
you as a kindness ambassador, and you've continued on in that road. So just clicking on the ambassadors page, we have our map, and if we were to zone in
Yes.
on this huge map of the world, but a huge country, a huge population, and all the way down here in your part of the world, at least right now, I hope this is
Yes.
your part of the world. Can you remember, without putting you on the spot, there was one line that you
Ah,
shared, and I think you very much, from what I can see, embody this line. Kindness
yes.
is the only language that will break all barriers and bring all of life to feel a sense of oneness. And your name is kindness. Your vision is bringing
Yeah.
kindness to the world, and here you are on our map as well. So I'm going to stop the sharing, but for anybody who is engaged in GoldenRuleism Day or is curious to know more about what we're trying to offer, please just check out the website and feel free
Yeah.
just to join in on the ambassador program that we have. So enough about that. Tell us more about what you've been doing with what you're offering the world. And I know there's more to just the project that you have. There's the whole
Yeah.
array of that, but the tall elephant, and where did that come from?
Okay. So I think 2019 is when we met, Shane. So
Is
it's
that
like you
okay?
said,
Thank
yeah,
you.
like you said, close to a decade now. 2019, when we all met as United Nations Kindness Ambassadors, I don't know what that even meant, because we were just trying to even tiptoe and to understand, okay, what does this mean? And it was very, very fantabulous experience for all of us, for all of my friends and colleagues to come together, like 60 of us from 60 different nations, to get trained from you, from Michael, from everyone. So post that, I think I've been questioning a lot in terms of who am I becoming? What is it that I'm doing? And I was working then at that point of time as a CXO in a for-profit education organization. But later, I think because of this training and doing all of this work, I kind of asked myself with a lot of self-inquisitiveness of, is this what I want to do? And am I really walking the path, or am I just talking the path? Am I just that person who talks about all of this, or am I really embodying it? And I think COVID became a very strong testing period, testing ground for all of us to say, now, who are you going to be? Are you going to be the same person? Because every layer of ours, which we were using to mask ourselves, was ripped apart. And we were supposed to be in solitude. And I think that was our own way of, I think the good side of COVID was, okay, now you're left with yourself. Can you sit with the demons inside of you? And I think that was the period that I asked myself, saying, okay, what do I want to do? And in 2020 is when Tall Elephant came into existence. I was thinking at that period of time, saying, should I do for profit or non profit? Because if you look at anything which is around kindness, people usually think it should be non profit. It should be things which is very soft. And this is a different part of the world. Like, yeah, there are people who make money. There are people who get that money as a support to run a non-profit organization, and your vision is in the right place, so you can do non-profit. So I was in between that toggling space of, do I want to do for profit or non-profit? And I wanted to carry kindness, definitely. So I think I made up my mind saying, why is it that it should be that only it's a soft work? Why can't it be that you still do for profit, you still bring in bread and butter for yourself and for the people around you, but you hold the ethos as kindness, of saying, I want to be kind and I want people to become kind around me. But I'm not doing this as non-profit. It's not pro bono, but there will still be money around it. So yeah, I think that was a thought process, to be very honest, of saying, where should Tall Elephant go into? And I wanted to get into emotional work, but I'm not a psychologist or a psychiatrist, so I cannot do any kind of psychology or psychiatry based work. Then how do I bring in kindness and compassion into the world? So that's when a lot of reflections that I was doing, in terms of, I had my own way of journaling, and I always question saying, what's the right way to journal? And how do I make this as a habit? How do I make myself better using a tool? So journaling, I definitely wanted to bring it to the world, and journaling was the first thing that we began with. And then we were like, okay, what should be the name of it? And with everything that was happening, we looked at who is the most wisest species in the world. So apparently, amongst all this flora and fauna, the most wisest are the elephants, and they are very emotional as well. So I could not find a more befitting name than to keep it as the elephant. And we called it the tall elephant to say that elephants carry a lot of scars on their body. So as a representation of it, if you look at even our logo there, it's a scarred elephant that we show. I want people to walk the gait of a strong, tall elephant in spite of the emotional scars that we carry. And that's where the name came from. And we said we will do for profit, but we will do kindness.
I love that. And even it's reminding me of one of the analogies or the images that we used in our own course when we're working together, of the epistemic humility.
Yes.
They use the elephant to try to say that,
Yes.
we all
Yeah.
come from different angles. What are we seeing right now? Is it actually what we're seeing, or we don't know what we don't know and what we can't see? And I
Yeah.
love that. I also love the bravery in the way you describe the non-profit NGO charity fields that we have all connected to at some points, but the way it's interpreted for many, and it's not disregarding charities or NGOs or NPOs,
Yeah.
but they often are seen as light
100%.
or less or soft.
Yes. Yes.
Whereas, and sustainable, to sustain ourselves, that becomes, from my understanding, we're going to
Yeah.
sustain ourselves because it's not for profit. But I see what you're doing as regenerative. It's not just
Yeah.
sustaining, but it's regenerating and putting the
Yes.
effort, the empathy, the kindness into something
Yeah.
that will go beyond sustenance. And I
Yeah.
think our world today needs
Yeah.
beyond sustenance. If we do it with integrity, if we do it with kindness, it can be
Yes. Yeah.
absolutely as profound or more profound. So I love that
Yeah.
choice, that debate that you took. And so what have you been? Because that's it's almost 6 years now. You're running with the
Yes.
Tall Elephant. Tell us a little
Yes.
bit more about the journey.
So over the 6 years, because this is a for-profit organization, so just to add to that dimension, what I was sharing with you, Shane, it's like, we are okay if Tesla makes the most best technology. We are okay with any other field where somebody is progressing and doing so well with the research work, and then we say, oh my God, look at technology evolving, look at things changing in the world, and anything that's making life simpler, we go very gaga about it. So for me, it's always been, okay, if we're gonna if I'm gonna put kindness in the forefront, then what will happen to it? So the last 6 years has been about testing that waters to really figure out how will the world perceive it and embrace it and take it. um the challenges definitely are that people look at you like every other brand, and they consider that you are like one of the rest of the people, and they try putting you into the same bucket to say, okay, this is the same thing, to stand out like a unicorn and to say, no, that's not who I am. You're not getting it right. Neither am I a non-profit. Neither I am, I'm for profit and I'm running the organization the way you're doing. So that's been a challenging period, but over the course of 6 years, we've been able to bring out something that's our flagship product called the Little Black Box, which is a black box which we give it to our individuals in our in yeah, that one, yes. It's called the Little Black Box. It goes by the name of the aircraft's black box. So how a aircraft's black box carries the entire message of the journey, so we wanted to make sure that a black box that we gift is the journey of that person for one entire year. So we've now had 6 versions of it. We started with a footfall or a small community of 700 people when we started the first year. And today we are a community of, as we speak, 5,000 individuals. But however, not all 5,000 are active all the time. We make sure that how many ever that we can support and help is what we bring in. So this year, I think we've gone close to 2,500 people who are active participants and who are working on themselves.
Wow. And so you offer, I don't know if it's weekly or monthly, but you have a community of engagement. You have a community of
Yes.
practice going.
Yes.
How
So the
does that work?
products that we give, we do have community engagements around it every once a month. And for us to know that this is all that we can do. So I think I'm one of those brands where I say, even if you want to buy, I will not give you, because there is a minimum and a maximum number that I can support. And that's all that we do. So our website goes up 15 days a year, and people join us in those 15 days, and the rest of the time they join a wait list and wait for us to call out, and then we bring in people thereafter.
Wow. So it really it is quite unique. Talk about unicorn. I don't know of any other project, company, community that's acting like this, but it's pretty precise. You have a vision, and you're
Yeah,
following this vision.
yeah,
And I'm sure that we and I get thrown off quite a lot, and we've talked a wee bit as well about the challenges that we're all facing right now in the world that we're seeing in with conflict, with injustice, with
yeah,
oppression, and with everything. It can be very, very heavy. But to feel
yeah,
part of a community of change,
yeah,
feel part of a community that is trying to walk the talk of kindness and not see that as a weakness. I mean, you come from the land of very famous people, Gandhi and beyond Gandhi, of people who were deeply oppressed, living through oppression, but saw ways and visions and means to overcome that, and to literally sometimes the long walk for peace. It was walking this kindness, empathy, and compassion. But yeah, how do you balance it? Where do you get your own energy to keep going?
I think the most fundamental thing that I tell my community members and to myself, the one thing that I try practicing the most is self-compassion is the most important. And if I cannot take time for myself and I'm trying to, take care of everybody else, it could just be that I'm a people pleaser, or I'm just trying to, pour out from a cup that's already dried out and there's nothing left there. So anything that I tell people saying start doing it, I always feel that the one person that we are very hard towards is our own selves, because we are our worst self critics. So I say that, don't try showing kindness to the world, just show it towards yourself, so you can manage your non-beneficial emotions well. And then just your presence in a room will make a difference. You don't have to go out of your way to do it. So I do a lot of practices to manage myself, Shane. I think that's the only real truth and honesty to this. So whatever that I talk about, I spend at least an hour or two every day on myself. Yeah, I don't let that energy to get depleted.
Well, so that's a lesson in itself to have that discipline and practice. I think that the habit and the practice is
Yeah.
so important as well. And to see that journey, even from a distance, from my perspective, Krupalini, when we met, and there were 60, couldn't remember, 60 people from 60 different parts of the world. Some of us are still connected. Many have gone on to do their own individual projects, and some have decided that this wasn't for them. And that's also a
Yeah.
decision. That's fine. The world offers curveballs and challenges for all of us. But to see you from the first time as a student or as a participant, and then to take that ownership and to go and set your own project. But not only that, we had a chance a few years ago, and I think it was probably 3 or 4 years ago that we met in
Yes.
Hyderabad in India again. And you talk about the one individual, yourself to maybe one other person, and that's enough.
Yes.
But there were 10,000 participants in this room that we were working with. It was the biggest group of people I've ever, and I had fear and I had genuine anxiety of how will this work? And yet you stood up and you got the microphone and not just courage and bravery, but you had this presence and confidence to go and speak your truth. And I suppose when you're living that every day and you're practicing it every day, it becomes less daunting to stand up in front of other people and speak that truth. But it was pretty impressive. I mean, I remember hearing that there was going to be between 10 and 100,000 people, but I thought that might have been a misinformation of some kind. But to see that amount of people in one space to learn, and they were
Yeah.
eager to do that. But yeah, you've certainly had a journey, in your own black box, I'm sure, is packed with different reflections and learnings and life lessons as well. But the line that you used in GoldenRuleism map there, the ambassador's map, how does that become embodied? How do you to to put that externally but also internally, to what is, because kindness, empathy, compassion, we can talk about it in so many
Yeah.
different lights. We can even, there's so many definitions of the word compassion and
Yeah.
empathy as we grow and learn. I like last week I heard the actual Latin definition. I'm based in Spain at the moment, and the Latin definition is co or com, uh, compasio. So it's for like with suffering. Compasio is suffering. So
Yeah.
you're suffering with other people to be
Yeah.
compassionate. Now suffering is unavoidable,
Yeah.
but others might see compassion just as a wish or a motivation to alleviate suffering. And then there's others, including the Charter for Compassion, for example, that say it's the action. It's very much the action. So where are you on that journey of, the kindness linked with empathy and compassion? What has it changed? Has it shifted at all for you?
I think it changes by the day with everything that's happening. One thing that I definitely feel is none of these dictionary meanings mean the same for all of us. Each one of us define these terminologies in our own little ways based on our life experiences that we have led. When something disturbs me is the moment that I ask myself, saying, okay, now what will you do with your kindness? Now, how will you present this? When somebody purposefully does something which I feel like, okay, they're doing it to hurt me or to hurt my loved ones, then I ask myself, so what happens to kindness now? So will you still be kind to the same person, and how will you hold kindness there? One thing that I think which I'm currently evolving, and currently the way I'm interpreting it is the practice of just like me that we did, of
Hmm.
saying, can I see this eye to eye, even if you are the most nastiest person on the planet? And today we all can name one person and say, okay, it's you who's causing this entire thing. So while I look at it from a space of, okay, can I look at it from a space of just like me? Is this person similar to me in something? And while we take credit for the web of interdependence of the good things that happens, I also feel that if there's bad happening in the world, it's also our responsibility. I cannot keep saying that I have to stay away from it. So I'm trying to interpret kindness from that space of saying, okay, I'm kind. I think I've kind of tried to embody it with myself and the people that I come in touch with. What happens to people that I dislike and people that I cannot see eye to eye on? Then what do I do? Then who am I as a person? And I think that's two questions that kind of, I mean, those are two pointers which kind of make me feel comfortable to see eye to eye, and then I make a emotional and a logical decision without getting my amygdala hijacked, because the moment that happens, then my neuroticism kind of kicks in, and then I get really angry and I feel like I'm only emotionally bantering and I'm not talking what I want to speak.
The amygdala getting hijacked. Yeah, I haven't heard that expression before. That makes a lot of sense. And every single day, I'm sure we all have opportunities to pause. Yesterday, there was a leak, just an automatic water leak in our apartment here in the middle of the night. and there's pipes
Oh,
and there's water going everywhere, and my amygdala is offline for sure, or my emotions. But I was quite aware that my self-dialogue was quite negative at the time. Like, what are you doing?
yeah.
What? Like it's chaos. Or the children wake up
Yeah.
in the middle of the night, and you
Yeah.
have to deal with things, whatever
It
that
must
might
be
be.
so difficult. Yeah.
What I really admire about the content within the black box and within the cards and the journals that you've offered to the rest of the world, there's quite a lot about self. There's quite a lot
Yes.
about that self-talk. Am I speaking to myself in a kind way, regardless of whatever else is happening in the world? Yes, there's genocide. Yes, there's overwhelm. We're watching live
Yeah.
oppression of people, human beings that we believe to be true on a daily basis, and that's overwhelming for the nervous system, for the brain, for the mind, and the body. But my dialogue to myself is quite important, and I've got a lot out of both looking at the cards and offering them to myself, but also to other people. And it's interesting. I've often done this one activity with lots of groups, and the moving debate. I remember we actually did it in person in New Delhi. We had this
Yes.
physical moving debate when we're moving from side to side. Like, I am a leader, and people
Yeah.
go to the agree or the
Yes.
disagree, but you have a walk to get there, and you can change your mind at any point. And it sort of culminates in a number of different statements. But when I always offer the statement, I am a kind person, it's a moment when you have 50 or 60 people or 10 people. I'm a kind person. Do I go to the agree? Do I go to the disagree? And
Yeah.
and there's no middle for this activity. There's just agree or disagree. It's really hard to watch it because
Yes.
there's going to be a challenge for this person, or I'm a good person. But I stick with I'm a kind person. I think when we did it, I might have said good person. It's even more interpretive. Like, it's
Yeah.
compared to who. I'm
Yeah.
kind, is it based on my peers, my family, my society? But mostly people go to the I agree side. I am a kind person, which is a
Yeah.
relief to me in many
Yeah.
respects. But when I add in Krupalini, when I say to them, okay, I'm going to change one word, and I want you to either decide to move or stay where you are. And if it's kind or compassion or empathic, but usually kind or compassionate is I am compassionate, I am kind. But I say self. I am
Yeah.
kind to myself. I am compassionate to myself. And most people, I find,
Yeah.
overwhelmingly move to the disagree.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think, wow, how would our world be today if we were
Yeah.
able to embody that? Like, we are saying that we're kind people, and
Yeah.
we're asked in a forum like this, we're saying, I am a kind person, and I know I'm a kind person, but am
Yeah.
I kind to myself? And how
Yeah.
would my world be? How would other people around me benefit if I was more kind to myself?
Yeah.
I say I'm
Yeah.
kind because I want people to benefit from my kindness, but what about myself? And it's a
Yes.
self lesson in there, and it's
Yeah.
almost every group. It doesn't matter if they're
Yes.
religious leaders,
Yeah.
politicians, very wealthy people, people on the breadline, people from oppressed communities. The kindness is there, but are we? And some people will, of course, say, "Yes, I am a kind person to myself. I want to spend more time around these people because
Yeah.
that's where we
Yeah.
can get a lot of our
Yes.
energy as well."
There's the saying which says, the way you treat yourself is the way the world will treat you, which is correct. But I also feel there's another dimension to it. The way you treat yourself is the way you treat your loved ones, usually, when you get your amygdala hijacked. So
Can you say that
the
again? The way we treat ourselves.
the way we treat ourselves is the way that the world will treat you, is what the real saying is. But I feel the other dimension to it is it's not just the way that the world will perceive me as, it's also the way that I will present myself, especially when my masks are down
Mm.
around my people. So the way I treat myself is the way I treat my loved ones most of the times. And all that anger, that non any of the non-beneficial emotion, not anger is not necessarily a non-beneficial one, but yeah, whichever it is that the amygdala pushes us into, we usually show that moment with our loved ones, and our relationships get hugely affected because we haven't composed ourselves. So I always feel if we allow a person to get comfortable with their own self, I think the world will heal automatically.
Wow. And that's certainly what we need in this moment, in
Yes.
deep need of healing. And I love that as well. And yeah, very much relating to some of the guided practices, the
Mm.
contemplative practices or meditations we talked about. If I'm struggling, or if I'm feeling that I'm a little overwhelmed and emotions are getting the better of me, you know, what would I if I have a challenge, what would I say to my loved one? What would I say to my best friend? What dialogue would I use, and
Yeah.
how can I use that dialogue myself?
Yeah.
Because if we're
Yeah.
struggling to act in that self-compassionate and self-kind way, sometimes we can use our own language that we're going to be
Yeah.
using for other people. If we make a mistake, what would I say
Yes.
to my daughter if she made a mistake? Hopefully, I would not say the same at the moment to my
Yeah.
daughter as I'd say to myself. But why is that?
Yes.
And how do we
Yeah.
work on that as a journey? Yeah, there's so much wisdom that can be extracted, and I love the fact also you're referring a lot to science. You're bringing in sort of the brain science into the world
Yes.
that you're working in as well, as much as the body science and as much as the nature-based learning.
Yeah.
And yeah, long may this continue. And so where to now? I know people can probably go on the website for those very short space of times that you're available. But if people want to be part of the community and learn more, how do they do that?
They can check out my website, which is krupaliniswamy.com. I offer a few training programs, so
Okay.
maybe they can start with that. And as a part of it, they also get introduced to Tall Elephant. So that could be the beginning space for people from there.
Okay, so krupaliniswamy.com, and then you can
Yes.
go backwards into
Yes, yes.
the
And there will
community.
be a wait list if in case you have to join the wait list. So everything I have to offer will be there on that website.
Amazing. And it's so nice to reconnect with you and see that your journey is continuing on, and that we can know that we're interdependent and learn from each other, but not just in a cliched way. This is real time happening to real people, and you are affecting and connecting with so many other people across your region of India, but certainly outside of India as well. And
Yeah.
going on back to the map really quickly. So this is
Yes.
this is where you are. This is your words here as well. But if we were to zone out, there's so many more people in so many parts
Oh,
of the world that I think we can all
yes.
decide to learn from and to maybe hear their story. Like you said in this conversation, Krupalini, it's not the same for everybody. We're not going to react the same, but we can also hear if we're taking
Yes.
the time to listen. We can hear other people's ways of dealing with hardship and difficulty, or the opposite ways of feeling joy and expressing joy and trying
Yeah.
to interdepend and interconnect with each other. And the lines that we use, certainly with that we're looking at, you've mentioned some of them here in your words, but it is sometimes the simplicity of trying to do, to all others and not just myself and my community, but doing to all others directly or indirectly what you would ideally like done for you or done to you, and or don't doing, not doing, deciding with that element of discernment not to do to any
Yeah.
others directly or indirectly what you wouldn't want done to you or to your loved ones, as you added in. And I like that addition of it as well. So I really appreciate you coming on and having this conversation, and I wish that it's not another year before we connect again. So hopefully we'll meet in person someday soon.
I look forward to doing that. And I have to definitely say that, it was a honor to learn from you, Shane. And I say this all the time, and I will continue saying this all the time. Thank you for sharing your light with us. Thank you for training us. And although it was a part of the work that you were doing then, the difference that you made really is something that we carry today. And if you see that I've become a better person, please know a piece of it belongs to you. Thank you for training me the way that you did.
It sounds like I've asked you to say that, so but
No,
thank
not
you.
at all.
No,
Not
no,
at all.
no,
Thank
no.
you.
I mean
Thank you,
that
Shane.
genuinely. I really Gurav Mila Maigat, we'd say in Irish. So 1,000 thank yous to you. And even what you're saying here, the light within the cards. You are the light because you are
Yes.
the person who's written the cards with your writing,
Yes.
your handwriting. That light hopefully can continue in other parts. And it's hard. It's hard work sometimes, but that light
Yeah.
is attainable.
Yes.
And I think I and we have an obligation to try and share that to the parts of the world
Yes.
and people in the world that are really suffering right now. So
Yeah.
we can, we must, and I think we will together.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gurav Mila, my good. Thank you so much and enjoy the
Thank you
rest of your
so
day.
much, Shane.
Take care. Slán.